All right, so when you flip on the news and see rockets flying between Iran and Israel, you're seeing the part they want you to see. It's loud, it's dramatic, but it's not the real story. What we're going to break down here is the war happening in the shadows, an economic fight aimed right at the foundation of America's power in the world.
And that quote really nails it. The explosions, the angry speeches. Think of it like a magician's sleight of hand. It's designed to grab your attention over here so you don't see what's really happening over there. And that real story is about who's going to be in charge of the global economy for the next 50 years.
So what's actually going on? This isn't just about territory or religion. At its core, this is about money. It's about oil. And it's about a very smart, very calculated attack on the financial wiring that has powered the entire globe for decades. To really get this, you've got to look past the aircraft carriers and the fighter jets for a second. See, empires aren't just built on armies. They're built on economic systems. And for the US, its power comes from this brilliant, kind of fragile, and almost invisible machine called the Petrodollar System.
Okay, so here's the simple genius of it. Oil is literally the fuel that runs the modern world, right? Well, for decades, there's been one simple rule. If you want to buy that fuel on the global market, you have to use one currency, and one currency only, the US dollar, period.
Now, how does that one little rule translate into superpower status? Well, think it through. Every country needs oil. That means every country needs US dollars to buy it. This creates this constant artificial demand for American money, which lets the US borrow money super cheap and, fund the most powerful military the world has ever seen. It's the ultimate economic cheat code. And listen, this isn't some new thing. This system has been the absolute bedrock of the world economy for over half a century. It's been the foundation for everything. But as we're about to see, even the strongest foundations can crack.
Right, this is where the story takes a sharp turn, and it's the part that most people miss. We're all focused on the fighting around Israel and Gaza, and we assume that's the main event. But the real strategic bullseye, the target that could bring the whole system down, is somewhere else entirely.
The real battlefield is the Persian Gulf. See, Iran knows it can't win a straight-up fight with the US military, so it's not trying to. It's not attacking the soldier, it's attacking the soldier's wallet. It's targeting places like Saudi Arabia and the UAE because those countries are the physical machinery, the oil fields, the ports, that make the whole petrodollar system work.
And this is the core of their strategy. A place like Dubai, with its gleaming skyscrapers and massive wealth, wasn't just built on oil. It was built on the idea of safety. Trillions of dollars from all over the world are parked there because people believe it's a stable, predictable place to do business. Iran's #1 goal? To shatter that belief. Because if the Gulf no longer feels safe, the money leaves and the system starts to crumble.
And it's crazy. The entire region is shockingly fragile. We're talking about desert nations here. Their fresh water comes from a handful of huge plants right on the coast. All their oil infrastructure, all their big financial centers, they're just sitting there right out in the open. They are incredibly soft targets, and a successful hit on any one of them could send shockwaves through the global economy.
So, you're probably wondering, how can a country like Iran possibly challenge a superpower? Well, they don't fight fair. They use something called asymmetric warfare. Basically, they're weaponizing two things the US can't counter: geography and simple, brutal math.
Take a look at this number, 20%. Let that sink in for a second. What does it mean? It means everything. It represents the planet's economic jugular vein.
That's right. 1/5 of all the oil the world uses every single day has to squeeze through that one tiny little waterway. It's an unbelievable bottleneck. And guess whose coastline runs along the entire northern edge, watching every single tanker that goes by? Iran.
And this is where Mother Nature handed Iran an incredible gift. Their side of the water is all rugged mountains, a perfect natural fortress for hiding missile launchers and drone bases. The other side, where all the targets are, it's flat, open desert. It's a massive, almost unfair geographical advantage.
Now for the math. And this is where the economic war gets really clear. To launch an attack, Iran can use a drone that costs, let's say, $50,000. To stop that drone, the defenders have to fire a super high-tech interceptor missile that can cost up to $10 million. I mean, just look at that. The economics are impossible. Every single time Iran launches a cheap drone, whether it gets shot down or not, it's a massive financial win for them.
You simply can't win a war when your bullets cost 200 times more than their targets. It's designed to bleed your wallet and your arsenal dry.
So where does this all lead? Well, it pushes everyone into a super high-stakes, incredibly dangerous situation that people who study this stuff have a pretty chilling name for.
It's the ultimate game of chicken. You know the setup. Two cars driving straight at each other. The first to swerve is the coward. But if neither swerves, everyone gets wiped out. That's exactly where we are. Neither Iran nor the US feels like it can afford to be the one to back down. And you can see how this creates a terrifying feedback loop. One side makes a move, so the other has to respond, but bigger. Then the first side has to respond to that, but even bigger. With every step up that ladder, it gets harder and harder to find an off-ramp. And the risk of someone making one tiny miscalculation that ignites a global fire just grows and grows.
And this brings it all back to the most important point. The petrodollar system at the end of the day isn't really built on dollars or oil. It's built on something much more delicate: confidence. The world's confidence that the system is stable, the confidence that the US can protect it. And as we're seeing, confidence is a very, very fragile thing.
So once that confidence starts to crack, what happens? Other countries get nervous. They start looking for other options. They start making deals to trade oil in their own currencies, building new alliances. What we could be watching is the slow, grinding shift from a world run by one superpower to a much messier, much more unpredictable world with many powers.
Which leaves us with one final massive question. Is what we're seeing on the news just another conflict in a troubled region, or is it something much bigger? Are we actually watching a live stress test of the entire global financial order? We really have to ask, are we just watching the news, or are we watching the first chapter of a whole new story about how the world works? The answer to that is going to define the rest of our lives.